Hi everybody, and welcome to another episode of Fabric Fridays with me, Mary Morningstar Johnson from Ruby and Violet Designs. On today's episode, I have a lot to get through. I'm going to be showing you guys a lot of Christmas gift ideas, block ideas, quick quilt ideas, and talk to you about a couple of the designers behind the inspiration I'm going to show you today. So I hope you enjoy. So the first idea I'm going to talk to you guys today about is from Amy Smart. She is a quilter, quilt pattern designer. She has a blog called Diary of a Quilter. She puts out amazing newsletters with tons of ideas depending on season, time of the year, quick projects, longer projects, easy projects, complex projects. She has a lot of YouTube videos on how to make certain things, and so she is definitely somebody that you should check out if you're not familiar with her. She also did a podcast with Abby Lassenberg on I'm not sure if it was While She Naps at the time or Craft Industry Alliance, but if you put in While She Naps podcast or Craft Industry Alliance podcast, you'll be able to scroll back and find the Amy Smart episode, and I recommend listening to that too because it was a really good podcast. And so I saw this a couple years ago, and I've been in love with it, and I have not had a chance to work on it, and so I bought her pattern for her improv tree quilt, or improv tree quilt block design. And it's a really easy quilt block. I actually watched her YouTube video on it, and then I bought the pattern for $3 on her site just so that I could catalog it and kind of put it away. But I like it for several reasons. One, because it's so easy. Two, because there's not very much waste with it. And three, because you're not following a template. You're just cutting out some basic sizes of some rectangles and squares, and you cut at an angle, but it can be any angle that you want because it's an improv Christmas tree. So not all of the Christmas trees are exactly the same. They're meant to be a little bit wonky. They're meant to be a little bit asymmetrical, off-centered. That is the intended look for the quilt, and so it makes it a really easy block to cut out and put together. You can make table runners, you could make a whole quilt. If you're looking for a quick idea to make a quilt for somebody, make a small lap quilt, make something for your home, make a tree skirt with it, or a table runner, this would be a great pattern to get, or watch her YouTube video. Obviously buying the pattern, you support her business, so I definitely recommend doing that. But anyway, this is the pattern, and that's what it looks like. And so I made a couple blocks, and it was really fun. I haven't taken the time to do it yet, and I'm excited. I really would like to make a quilt out of this for my living room, to just pull out every Christmas. And the other nice thing is you can use so many fabrics and so many scrappy fabrics. I mean, it could be a really scrappy quilt, it could be more of a themed quilt, any colors. I mean, you could make your Christmas trees out of a certain color palette that you're wanting to put out at Christmas. It's really up to you because it's your quilt. So here are my trees, and I was just so happy with them. I pulled out all of the Christmas fabric that I have, and I have it sitting on the floor in my sewing room, and I have just been trying to go through it and make as many things as I can, just to use it up and get things made. And it feels really good because I know that I've mentioned in my last couple videos I'm really trying to tackle my scraps, and this is a really great project to do that with. So the next blocks that I'm going to show you, they they're very special to me because I got them at my quilt club. Um, it really stinks right now not being able to have quilt club meetings. um, I really like the community, the camaraderie, talking to people about quilting, about sewing, being able to have people there to ask for advice if I have a question about something that I'm working on, because there are so many knowledgeable women. And I'm hoping that at some point when we can start getting back to having our meetings, um, that we can move forward with, you know, these conversations and the help and the questions and the learning new things. But anyway, hopefully maybe next Christmas we'll be in a little bit better spot, and this is an idea maybe to use in the future. One thing, if you belong to a quilt club or a sewing group or a women's guild, one really fun thing that you could do is a block exchange or a mug rug exchange, you know, a smaller project that people can participate in and then receive back from it. So if you put in 2 mug rugs that you handmade, you get 2 back. And anyway, these are just some traditional 8-point star blocks, and they're Christmas themed. And I'm gonna take some of the Christmas fabrics that I have and make more blocks and try to create a quilt out of these 8-point star blocks. And they're really simple and a really great resource if you have a certain block that you're wanting to know how to make or see a tutorial on it. I a lot of times go to Missouri Star Quilt Company, Jenny Doan, and I watch her tutorials. She has great tutorials on flying geese, all kinds of stars, pretty pinwheels, pretty well any quilt block. I would imagine she probably has a video out about it. So anyway, that's a really great thing to watch if you're wanting a quick little how-to, and a lot of times she gives you a lot of shortcuts, easy things that you can do to try to crank out and make a lot of these blocks. And so definitely check out Jenny Doan, Missouri Star Quilt Company on YouTube, and watch her videos. But here are my 8-point stars, and it's just a very traditional block, and as you can see, it goes really well with, you know, you're going to have your dark, medium, and light, or your red, green, and light background. Really, you can do these in any colors at any time of the year, but all the ones that I have, these 4, were all Christmas themed, and so that's just what I wanted to move forward with mine. And as you can see, none of the fabrics are exactly the same, but I think having the same theme, it just kind of helps these blocks go together, and it makes them a little bit scrappy and really fun to put together. And there's that one. So anyway, that's a really good fast way to kind of come up with a quilt, especially if you belong, like I said, to a quilt club or a group, that you could do these exchanges or bring 12 blocks and exchange them around, and then that gives you 12 blocks that are already made that you can then build off of. So the final block that I'm going to show you is more for the quilter who wants to put together more of a difficult quilt, and even really it's not really that difficult, but earlier this week I watched Angela Walters' new video from the Midnight Quilter, and I just fell head over heels for the Dresden plates that she showed how to make. I have never been very inspired by the Dresden plate blocks. When I think of a Dresden plate, I think of an old 70s pillow that has one of those tuft things in the center of it, and I just in the 70s dingy browns, oranges, and yellows, and I just have never felt inspired by them. And I watched Angela's video on Dresden Plates, and I have a whole new excitement for Dresden Plates. And so after I watched it the next morning, I had to put one together myself. She showed how to use decorative stitches on it. If you have not watched any of Angela's videos, I definitely recommend checking them out. She does an excellent job of showing how to put things together. She actually, I learned too, she has a new fabric line out. So I'll definitely be checking that out, and I will report back to you guys on that fabric. And anyway, so yeah, just definitely check out that video because I think it might give you a new love for Dresden Plates. And so anyway, here is my Dresden Plate block. And it looks like a snowflake, I think, and I even used my snowflake fabrics that I've had for several years. And the really cool thing that I loved in her video is, so I always thought these, she called them like swords or these pointed pieces. I thought that they had to be, well, I guess nothing has to be any certain way, but I had never seen before where somebody sewed strips and then used the template and cut from those strips. And so this one, she said it kind of looks like a spinning, like it could be spinning with these other pieces in it. And then she also did somewhere, she sewed these strips of 3 pieces and then cut the template from that, and so you had a middle band that went all the way around the Dresden plate. And all of the designs and the ways that she did it, I fell in love with it. And so anyway, the other thing she said is, I also never had really seen or looked into, because I've never been inspired by them, but how to applique or attach the Dresden plate to the back fabric. And I really liked how she showed how to do it. And she said, why not have fun with it and do decorative stitching to attach it? And so that's what I did. So I found a snowflake decorative stitch, and I'll try to show it here. I don't know if you can see it. But I did a snowflake decorative stitch all the way around my Dresden plate. And it's not super noticeable, but it really sets off the block, especially when you look closely at it. And then I also did the snowflake pattern around the center too, which the center circle, you can use a template if you have it, or I didn't, so I just found a glass in my cupboard that the opening matched what I needed it to be to put it across here, and I put some fusible behind it and fused it on, and then did my decorative stitching around it. And so there are a million ways that you can finish these Dresden blocks. That's just how I did it. And so again, I'm really excited about this. This is a little bit more labor intensive of a block to make, just because there's so many parts and pieces. But I have an idea that I'm going to actually, I think, make a table runner out of this and do 3 of them, kind of in different colorways, probably different designs, and then put some binding around it and make that a neat table runner. And so yeah, so I hope you like that block. I hope that you guys enjoyed today's episode of Fabric Fridays with me, Mary Morningstar Johnson. Definitely check out Amy Smart, Angela Walters, Missouri Star Quilt Company, and Jenny Doan with her videos on how to make different quilt blocks. And happy sewing and happy quilting. Bye.